Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana.
Strap in and strap on.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit content. It's all vibes and no facts.
Prepare to be spoiled.
Wait, no, these are spoiler-free episodes.
We might still spoil you.
We ended on the perfect chapter last time. Chapter 57 was them getting ready to go fight Theophanie. And immediately in chapter 58, there's no stopping with reading this book. I would find it wild that anyone would quit reading after chapter 58.
Also because if you're reading the physical copy, there's like this many pages left. You just don't stop there.
We really try to hold strong to our every 5 chapters, and no, there's no chance to not.
We gave up on that so early.
So early.
I got a question for you.
Do you already?
Let me kick this off for you.
Okay.
Why do you think it's Garrick?
You want to start off with that?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to talk about wanting emotional.
I don't have access to any of my notes right now, so while I still have any memory of what's happening, I have to do it fast. Why do you think it's Garrick?
It's 100% Garrick.
Ooh, you think so?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm so confident that
May I offer you a question? Because I feel like you weren't giving me the answer I wanted.
I'll tell you why I think it's Garrick.
That would be great.
I think it's Garrick because there have been multiple statements about him being fatigued, burning out, needing to keep going. And in Imogen's chapter, she mentions that there is color draining from the walls, which is immediately explained away by Garrick, who shows up in the tower without a dragon. So he's still doing his distance walking that we already know that he is very fatigued with. And he explains it away, saying there are 6 dark wielders who are draining from the walls. However, when he picks up Imogen and Quinn, Imogen notes that the color is draining.
His pallor, I believe.
The stones start to pale beneath them, or something like that. It's not a direct quote. I didn't have time to actually get it.
She brings up that he looks exhausted, and the pallor of his skin is different.
That, and I think when he gets her to the other location, he's looking down the entire time. He doesn't even look at her.
No, he does. He looks at her with an insane amount of sadness and remorse in his eyes, she says.
When?
When he realizes Quinn is gone, he's looking at Imogen, and she says, first of all, his eyes look exhausted, and he has a different pallor of his skin or something, which I assume just means that is looking fatigued.
What happens to your eyes when they're fatigued?
Fair enough. I might also add, she goes, it isn't just sadness in his eyes, it's also empathy or something like that, she says, that she sees in his eyes. Not once does she mention any redness or anything like that. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you. I had kind of a different reason for first assuming it was Garrick. My first reason for assuming it was Garrick was we hear of a brown dragon that's downed. What color is Garrick's dragon?
I have no idea.
Oh my god, he is a brown dragon.
Okay.
But the person who I actually think it is also is a brown dragon.
Oh, Bodhi has one?
Mm-hmm. Why do I think it would be Bodhi?
Please enlighten me, because I fully disagree.
He risked Violet getting burned by Navarre, right, in the Empyrean and all this extra shit, specifically to give her control of Tyrrendor, which means that he didn't have faith in leaving it with Bodhi.
Wait, I got confused with your he's. Xaden risked getting burned?
Xaden risked Violet being burned by the Empyrean for siding with a Dark Wielder.
Oh, you think that's why Andarna made the comment about, I'm not going to let them burn you?
Yeah, I think so. In general, yeah. I think he risked a lot of Violet to give her that ring and marry her, for her to basically now be Duchess of Tyrrendor, versus him prepping Bodhi the entire fucking book to take over Tyrrendor.
Oh.
And she kept saying, I don't want your kingdom, blah, blah, blah. I want you, baby.
But if both Xaden and Bodhi are gone, then there is nobody. Therefore,
Correct.
You must marry Violet in order.
Yup.
Okay, I'm following. I did a poll on Threads. 48% said Bodhi, 35% said Garrick, 9% said Brennan, and 7% said Riddick.
Wait, they thought Brennan was the one who turned? That's a crazy move.
I didn't consider Brennan or Riddick at all as being one of the brothers, so I had another poll with just Bodhi, Garrick, and then other. 40% said Bodhi, 29% said Garrick, and 31% said other. So I knew that I did not have the right options.
Riddick's also got a brown dragon.
I don't think it's Riddick, though.
I don't either. Partially because he says, after they've watched me struggle all these months.
Garrick was there.
Garrick and Bodhi were both there for all of that. Riddick literally got informed a few weeks ago. That dude had no idea what was going on leading up to this.
In our book club on Fable, it was 38% Garrick, 33% Bodhi, 10% Barlowe, and 19% other.
Well, it wasn't Jack Barlowe. He didn't return again. So, we're still stuck between Bodhi and Garrick. Did I manage to convince you?
No.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's okay, because you kind of had me convinced there, but I was trying to be prepared for what your argument would be. And I re-listened to these chapters twice. And I still am not completely certain. The only reason I'm thinking it must be Bodhi is he didn't want the kingdom to turn to Bodhi.
And the reason that I thought it was Garrick was because when he was getting ready to step...
Bump, step, bump, bump, step, bump, step, bump, bump.
With Quinn and Imogen, there was something about the stones beneath them start to pale.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's telling us that it's the venom pulling from the area, but I thought that was one of the ways we're supposed to, you're supposed to think it's the venom, but it's actually Garrick all along.
So I seen this too much as, if it's Garrick, it's a rehashing of the last chapter of Iron Flame. It would be almost the same scenario as Xaden went through, where you're like, all this drum roll, what's going on? Oh, and then he looks into her eyes and she sees the little ring. I think this is too parallel to that for that to be the case. I don't believe Violet interacted in our view, or Imogen interacted in the view that we got with the person who then turned.
Yeah. And I think there's some interviews out there that says to pay attention to who's missing. Garrick is missing, and someone who doesn't think that they are enough.
Which could be anything. I might add, Garrick's signet. What is his first signet?
An air wielder.
So he's the last airbender. And then he also does his distance walker business. We didn't see him using his air signet hardly at all.
No, I don't think he's ever used it since we found out he's a distance walker.
Yeah, I don't think either of his signets were heavily used at this time. Like his distance walker thing, I could see that a little bit.
That was being overused. He was the one who was pulling all of the weapons to a single location so then they can build the wards up again.
But what I'm saying is for him to have turned, I don't see an instance where he would have used it in order to turn.
I saw it as he has Imogen and Quinn to save them, and that was his last move, was getting there. So he pulled in order to get them away. He drops off Imogen, and he's looking down, and he says, I'm done. There's nothing more he can do. Like, he is fully fatigued, which is why I thought his last distance walk thing was him pulling.
Other than Xaden's also with him in this moment, before Xaden does the big Onyx storm.
Garrick wasn't with him unless he was the brother.
His new brother.
Yeah, so...
In that language would make me believe it would be Garrick, because he already thought of Bodhi as his brother. And he says, another brother. Or it's Bodhi and now it's more official. He was adopted by the same sage. That was fun. Come on.
I'm still trying to figure things out.
Oh, yeah, no, we're not going to know until the next book.
We finished this book days ago, and I wanted to record immediately and have this whole discussion. But I was so distraught. I was so bothered. I even think that I cried at one point just sitting there eating cereal, rethinking of the decision that Xaden made.
You think you did that?
Yes, I did.
There have been so many tears shed.
In the moment, while we were reading, I was mad. And I don't know why I was mad, but I was very upset
You went to bed angry.
I was very upset, and I don't understand why I was feeling anger instead of sadness, but it was a lot of anger. And then the next day was grieving and very sad that the book was over, and also just sad at how it all happened and everything that I don't even have words.
So I think this is denial where you're at right now.
I think so. No, I think I'm at acceptance.
Oh, that means denying the denial? Sounds to me like you're still in denial. That's all I'm saying.
I'm in a good mood.
You are.
I was not in a good mood as I was working through processing my feelings of all the events that just happened.
It's been a weird few days around the house. Yeah.
It was so dramatic. I think that there's other things going on, like I am not feeling good, I'm tired. Very dramatic.
Swans can be gay.
It was exactly like that. When I was crying, eating cereal, I'm like, oh my God, I'm having a swans are gay moment. And
swans are gay. Not all swans are gay. There wouldn't be any swans left. There are gay swans.
This is an old Reddit story, or wherever the hell it's from, of a mother who finds out that swans can be gay, and she's just crying about it. And I'm just crying about the decision that Xaden made because I put myself in his shoes. One, I would 100% make the same exact decision. In that moment, I'm like, yeah, you better fucking do it because Sigale is not going to die, despite what Sigale's saying. And as I'm thinking about, what is an equivalent situation? Because clearly I have to put my brain in stress and put myself in these shoes and stress myself out and get myself all worked up, just like Xaden's scenario here. I was like, I would absolutely do something to save our children, and I would be devastated and broken if it meant losing you.
That really depends on the day, doesn't it?
But that's what got me crying, was the idea of, oh my God, could you imagine being faced with the decision of saving your children but losing your spouse?
Yeah, it's a fucked up trolley experiment, isn't it?
Horrible.
Happens all the time.
And I just stressed myself out thinking about living a life without you, and then explaining to the kids, I'm just like, yeah.
I chose you.
I chose you. This is our life now.
You're welcome.
And
this is Dave. He'll be the new father in your life. Just pick a new one.
That's what Xaden did. He picked Sigale at I don't even know what to say. Not sacrificing for Violet. He picked Sigale at the blank to Violet. What word am I thinking of? Behest. No, that's not it.
Mm-mm.
At the...
I don't know if at the is the direction we want to go with this.
Oh, he picked Sigale at the expense of Violet.
Oh, okay. At the was the way you wanted to go. No, that works. To be fair, Violet wasn't going to die. Sigale was going to die.
You would have done it, right?
Picked Sigale over Violet? Fuck, I'd have murdered Violet to help Sigale. Yeah. You kidding me?
In this situation, I'm Violet.
Who's Sigale?
Sigale.
Then no, I don't really know that dragon. I murder the dragon. Why don't you be Sigale, Sigale be Violet?
Wait a minute.
And Violet be Dain. I think I'm killing Dain.
Playing this game is going to get dangerous because then I want to ramp it up and get our kids involved again, and I don't want to play this game.
No, listen, I think we both know how this works. You would use the blood from my carotid artery to put the kids out if they were on fire, and I think that's completely appropriate.
But I don't know what it was with that chapter or these last 10 chapters. I was feeling pretty good in the last batch that we reviewed. I was like, yeah, it's a book. We're moving along.
Dude, you are really tough for the last 20 chapters of every book that we read. 15 of the last 20 are tough for you. Because you hit this point where you're like, I think I know where the story's going. I've got so much of the story. I'm ready to get on to the next book. Let's do the next thing. And then this one kicked you so square in the labia. It was just wild to watch. Because I'm listening, and I remember you had listened to a chapter before me. I didn't know about it. I was cooking dinner, and our daughter kept looking at me weird, and I thought you guys put, like, I don't know, maybe you guys shaved something into the back of my head while I was asleep. I didn't know what the fuck was happening. But I'm cooking dinner, having a great time, and my daughter's like, how are you doing? Oh, what's going on in your book? And I'm like, if you'd shut the fuck up, I would know. Shh, quiet now, young one. And you're looking over at me expectantly when Mira gets her throat cut.
That's because I thought I connected you with the Bluetooth and we were listening to chapter 48 together. as you were in the bathroom and I'm doing dishes. She's doing her homework at the counter. And I just paused, stopped moving, and I gasped. And she was like, oh my God, my mom just got hurt. Somebody hurt her. She hurt herself. Something's wrong.
There's spirits among us.
Something just happened.
The Holy Ghost took you over.
And I turn around and I pause. And she's like, what happened? I'm like, oh my God, a character just died. And she's like, you're dramatic, right? And I'm like, I know, but your dad doesn't know yet.
And you knew that moment that I wasn't listening with.
No, because you would have been running out of the bathroom to
see
come find
your
me.
reaction.
Yeah, and you weren't.
That's fair. No, that makes total sense.
So then I put on a face and we replayed it, and she knew to watch for you to see your reaction and compare it to mine. You didn't even react.
Because I fucking knew it wasn't permanent. The way that they would have killed her off, it didn't serve Mira any justice. And the author clearly likes Mira, so I knew she would survive.
My first thought, as I'm like reeling over this, not able to go to chapter 59, because now I need to go find you and say, you need to connect to the headphones right now so I can continue on with this knowledge, that Mira has been struggling with her purpose in all of this. And I'm like, I thought Mira was going to have her own story. And she just dies. Therefore, her story was just to help Violet.
Yeah. That would have been very upsetting. I saw, Brennan is with Violet, and Mira just got her throat sliced.
I knew.
What the fuck is the point of Brennan being anywhere if it's not to heal somebody?
To traumatize them, to give them motive.
That's what he needs more of, more trauma.
I'm not saying he needs it, but your sister had her throat slit.
Yeah.
And I knew he couldn't do it.
Well, he did.
There were other factors at play to allow him to do it, but Brennan himself could not do it.
But he did.
And I think it's that scene why some people think that it's Brennan. Violet even makes the comment, oh, you know what? I'm starting to think that Rebecca probably did this on purpose. Violet makes a comment that there was no mark on the back of Brennan's neck or on Dain.
Okay.
I didn't think that there would have been a mark from what Sloane was doing, but Violet makes a comment about there was no mark on the back of his neck.
As in she wasn't drawing from them the same way a Venom would. Dain kind of explains this. She didn't take it from Dain. She was merely the conduit for power to flow through.
So this is all new to them, this scenario, because I thought it was just Sloane being scared.
I don't think Sloane has used her power. Hardly at all.
And none of them
for
have
anything other than imbuing.
Mm.
Imbuing comes naturally to siphons.
Well, back to this. You were immediately, she's not going to die. I'm like, that's your reaction? She's not going to die?
Yup.
Your reaction to Riddick being nearly stabbed was, oh my God, he's dead?
Yeah. Yeah, she got me a few times in this book. I'm not going to lie. When Taryn was knocked out, Riddick being stabbed by the chef, that would have been a shitty way for him to go. But yeah, no, I thought those people were really going to be in trouble.
But now we're near the end of the book, and it's the third close call, and you're like, nope, and her throat was literally slit.
Again, there's a person who can use healing magic. Xaden, I guess. But still, healing magic right there.
I think you put way too much faith in Brennan in that moment.
I think you didn't put enough faith in Brennan. You see what happened.
I saw what he did without Sloane, and it wasn't enough.
It was nearly enough without Sloane. I think he did great.
He only got partway through, and he was already burning out.
Again, dude, we can see how this works. Brennan was only there to heal Mira.
I thought he was only there.
And Sloane and Dain showed up just long enough to help, and then they also bailed.
You're ridiculous.
And then I don't think Brennan's the Venom guy, because he left with Mira, I might add.
And Brennan was there when Violet woke up.
Yeah, Brennan was never missing.
No.
I think Brennan does have some weird side shit going on, for sure. Especially because, do you remember what his dragon's name means?
Death.
Yeah, he's got a weird deal going on, too.
Brennan's gonna die.
No, I think Brennan is like the Grim Reaper, man. You get close to that guy, you're flirting with death all the time. That should be Violet's slogan. she keeps getting people killed.
Now that we're done with the book, I have been watching more TikToks on all these theories and whatnot. I'm not going to go into them in this episode. I'm just going to go through each of our chapters like we normally do, but I'm trying to get a list of questions that a lot of people have or any little theories. So when going through a reread, I want to do one more and ask you all of these questions and see what you think.
Okay.
But starting at chapter 58, we already kind of talked about 90% of it because the biggest thing was Mira. They're headed to see Theophanie and Draithus. The Wyvern have Tiny trapped. T is there with a knife to Mira's throat. Brennan, Xaden, and Bodhi are there. All throughout this, T is very convinced that Violet's going to turn. Do you have any thoughts on that confidence?
I think T's confidence is built on several hundred years of life experience, which I think is, I'm going to give her a little bit of a pass. And she was such a compelling villain. Until this point, I really liked her as a character.
I really love that you brought that up because I have a note that is, Theophanie reminds me of Ultron's personality in the Age of Ultron.
Yes.
And we're going through rewatching the Avenger movies with our son. And as soon as he came on, who does the voice of him? The lizard man voice, right? It's the fucking lizard man.
James Spader.
There we go. Him.
The fucking lizard man. I love that bit. I will not be talked down to by some ineffectual, limp-dick debutante. I don't remember the whole thing.
You even quoted him recently. Who were you comparing him to last time?
Probably Theophanie. Earlier episodes.
That would be hilarious if you did. And then we watch Age of Ultron.
And you're like, I get it. I'm here now. Yeah, no, he would have been a great Terran, too.
His
I'm
voice,
always
yes.
for people with that presence.
I agree with you. But when it comes to the character written, he had that same charm of, look how nice I am. Look what I've done for you.
It's an arrogant charisma, and it is such a fine line to walk.
Yes, and I think it's exactly how you describe what you were wanting out of a villain, and then T is delivering, and then we can see this comparison of charisma, but I think she loses her charisma in these last 10 chapters. She is not the same fun, evil character, if that makes any sense. She was more getting pissed off. She's like,
When she lost her cool and became not this kind of ambivalent evil that she was before, yeah, it all fell apart. But Varys did the same thing. Varys was an awesome villain until right at the end when he got emotional. And you're like, motherfucker, just make him cool.
But it also seemed like T was getting tired of this, and that if Violet were to die, she wouldn't care. She's like, then I'll wait for the next one.
Yeah, and you kind of stopped believing it at a certain point, too.
I think T cared more about Indarna in the end.
Yes, I agree. I think that was her primary objective.
Wait, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Yeah. I need to get back into chapter 58.
No, it's okay.
There are so many dragon names. I don't think I can pronounce them. I was getting lost. I need to do a much better job of learning the names of the characters in this book. But when you have...
You're 3 books in. Fuck it.
Yeah, we
can Google it later.
Chradh?
Yes.
Don't know. Is that Bodhi's? This is what T wanted.
That's Dragon.
Oh, is it? It is. You are correct. Chradh shows up with the chest, that floaty chest with Barlowe inside. From what I remember, T wanted Violet, Xaden, and his brother.
Why did they want Jack Barlowe? I want 5 points for this one.
Barlowe knows things that they need to keep him alive for.
They need to kill him before somebody gets that information.
Oh, yeah, the Venom want to kill him, and now they want to keep him alive because they obviously need to get information from him if the Venom want him that bad.
Yeah, but remember early on when you're like, why are they keeping him alive? And I'm like, interrogation. And you're like, why do they want him back? And I said, they probably want him dead or something so that he can't give up the information.
And I think Pancheck later even brings this up because I was wondering who's keeping Barlowe alive, because I think Barlowe's past the point that Barlowe needs to keep getting power or pulling from something to stay alive at this point.
You just bring him a puppy every now and then.
What the hell?
I know,
No.
I know. It would be really sad, but it would make him a villain.
Maybe Panchek knows how to imbue stones and just tosses one in there every once in a while.
Do you think turtles would give him more life force because they live for so long? Just questioning.
Knock it off.
I know your attachment to turtles. I'm just saying. Like, he couldn't train a cricket to live a week, right? Like, no, we're not playing this game.
No, that's a sad game. But then it also got me thinking about those really old tortoises that you see at zoos. And you can go pet them and whatnot.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
One, I'm disturbed.
Duga.
And they're little grunting.
Little turtle humping. Dude, that's the way I want to die, like a turtle. Just,
what?
Yeah, humping, and then I fall to my back. And I just go,
I was thinking about how when our kids were really little, they saw the turtles at the zoo, those big old ones. They're like, what are they doing? They're like, they're just trying to climb on each other. Don't worry about it.
They're rustling.
But sometimes that's just like Terran's vibe. It's just a really old tortoise.
You think that's how Terran has sex?
No, I'm insulting Terran right now.
I think they're doing it dragon style, right? For sure.
What's dragon style? I thought we talked about
It's
them
like doggy
being-
style, but face to face.
I don't want to keep thinking about this.
Not even a little bit.
We have leopard geckos, and I was very confused how there were always eggs in there. But
You do understand how eggs work.
I do understand how the eggs work, but
They don't need to have sex to lay eggs.
for leopard geckos, they do.
Our geckos are out there having sex right now. I'm going to be very bummed.
The amount of times we embarrass ourselves with the lack
Facts
of
that we don't know about our own animals.
facts.
And adriesanimalfacts.com. I don't know where I was going with that one. Adrie's Apothecary of Animal Facts.
Okay.
Pretty sure they can just lay
No,
fertilized eggs.
they do this.
Well, no, that's them having sex. Did you Google if they have to have sex to lay eggs?
Yeah, I Googled geckos mating.
That doesn't answer the question I was asking. You're just looking at lizards having sex now for fun. Why would you do that? Oh, no, it's another fetish.
It's...
Would this
we're
awaken
looking
something
up
in
they
you?
have eggs.
Not how would they fertilize the eggs. I
Yeah.
said, do they have to be fertilized to lay the egg?
Oh.
I said they could lay eggs that aren't fertilized. And now you found something new about yourself.
Okay. Yes, you were right, because they will still leave eggs around. No.
Okay. Just another opportunity to Google lizards. Fucking. You'd be a fool not to take this moment. I'd like to add, if I'm wrong, I'm totally fine with being wrong. It just seems counterintuitive.
Yes, female leopard geckos can lay eggs without mating.
Interesting.
Embarrassing.
For whom? For you?
Yeah. I regret Googling this.
But you like the thing before we were just like lizard sex.
No, I regret this entire search history.
Really? Oh, did you do it in
No.
whatever that mode is?
No, I was trying to be really fast and prove you wrong on something.
You prove me wrong constantly, I might add.
Well, in the next note, Mira has her throat slit.
Wow. How quickly you're able to pivot from dragon sex to genocide.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
Chapter 59. There's obviously absolute madness going on. Dragons are going on a killing spree. Brennan is attempting. There are 2 red dragons.
Brennan is attempting to do what?
To save Mira.
Oh, okay.
Unsuccessfully, I will add.
He's in the middle of success.
And this whole time, we are just staring at each other from across the kitchen, unable to do anything as we're listening to chapter 59. You have repeated multiple times at this point.
She's going to be fine.
She's going to be fine, as Brennan is just like fumbling and there's blood gushing.
He's not fumbling. He's doing what he can do.
Violent is, I don't know.
Watching. She, again, is just cuck in the medical process. She learned from the best. Okay? She's a little nurse cuck. She learned from Xaden, who watched other people do all kinds of things all the time.
I even think she did like a quick half smile, so when Mira meets Malik, she isn't scared. That's what stage we're at, and you're just like, she's not gonna die. You were so calm, cool, collected, as if you've already listened to the end of the book.
First of all, I wish that were the case.
That's how confident you were, though.
Yeah, there are two things. Number one, the whole point in Brennan being there was to save her. The second thing is, what does Violet do every time something terrible is going to happen?
I don't know.
She is not focused on the other person at all. Violet is focused on herself. She's memorizing the lines of their face like she's never going to see it again. She didn't once say that about Mira.
Oh, that was your clue?
That's one of them. It didn't seem like it was a good spot for a goodbye. It seemed like a good spot to have a triumphant moment. That's all I'm saying is I think I saw through Rebecca's nonsense with that one.
Is this why you were so bothered by Liam? Because you felt this confident and you were betrayed?
1000% that's true. Yup. And then, again, she fucked around with Taryn and Riddick in this book. So I was like, no, you're not going to get me again. It will not happen. I would rather be wrong a third time, but the way that I would have been wrong than to have believed it. I saw the turmoil you were going through, and I didn't want any part of that.
And our daughter is just sitting there, obviously not doing her homework, just getting her own entertainment with us with our headphones on, just staring at each other. She's just waiting, watching our reactions as I'm just freaking out, just like, Ryan, you're wrong. She's gonna die. And
I'm cooking dinner.
I do want to add, when you mentioned that Violet only thinks of herself in these scenes.
That's true. I want to point out I was wrong, but tell me how I was wrong.
No, I wasn't going to tell you how you were wrong.
Okay.
As soon as we got to the Rhiannon chapter, the amount of names being thrown at us, Rhiannon knows everybody. Rhiannon's thinking about everybody. I didn't realize how self-centered Violet was until we got to get inside of Rhiannon's mind.
The only self-centered part of Rhiannon was literally her saying, this is the only person that I truly love here.
That is Imogen.
I'm so sorry. Wrong person. Rhiannon. Oh my God, you're right. Rhiannon. And I love the relationship Rhiannon has with her dragon. Oh, shit. What's her dragon's name again?
I don't know.
I thought you'd look it up, but you're like, no, it's either I'm Googling lizard sex or I'm not using this phone.
Fine. But when I open
let me use my lizard sex machine to look it up. But nope. Sorry.
When I Google, it's going to show me them banging again.
I think I know how to get you to Google this. How would Rhianna, like the musician. Nope, that's Rihanna. This is Rhiannon. What the hell's this character's name again?
Rhiannon, and her dragon is Fierg.
Fierg, thank you.
Somebody said that they were calling this dragon Fergie.
Fergie and Rihanna. Yeah. Honestly, the dream team we didn't know we needed. That's amazing. It kind of makes sense. I can imagine this is Fergie. They say she delicious, but she ain't promiscuous. No, that shit is fictitious. She blow kisses. She put the voice on her.
It's not going to pick up any of your lyrics.
It doesn't matter. They'd be a line down the block just to watch what she got. She Fiergalicious. I think that's great.
Fiergalicious.
I fucking love it so much. Fiergy. I'm going to run with that the rest of the time. Oh, man. Andre 3000 had a little crush on Fiergy. I can't believe this never occurred to me. I'm just going to take a moment, enjoy it, and then we'll move forward.
Because we've only been using the audiobook to get through it. But if you look at the spelling, it does
make sense.
If you're a little dyslexic,
if you're wrong, if you don't know how to read good.
It does look like Fergie.
Listen, if we're going to start using if you don't know how to read well, words look like other words, that's almost always true. You're right. If you're dyslexic, it's Fergie. Okay. Do you remember what Fergie looked like?
Yes. But now I'm starting to question.
Do you remember her album cover?
Is Fergie the one that did Bananas?
It's Gwen Stefani.
Oh. Then no, I don't think I know what No, I don't think I know what Fergie looks like.
Maybe that was Fergie. No, Bananas was definitely Gwen Stefani. Fergie, her album cover was...
Fergie's the one that did the national anthem.
Yes, and really fucked it up. But we're ignoring that. Go to Fergie album or CD cover. That CD cover is what I will always think of when I think of Fergie, because I don't know when that came out.
How many albums has she had? And this is the only one that pops up when you search Fergie album?
The only one any of us gave a shit about.
Fergie album.
I bought that album. I maybe know 2 or 3 of the songs on that entire album. But I bought that album for that cover.
You little pervert.
Oh, dude, I was the worst. I was the kindergartner asking my teacher questions, so she'd lean over the desk and answer them.
Oh my God.
I was a terrible, terrible little horn dog.
Well, we should probably get back to people dying in the book.
No, but now when you look at that image, imagine it's a dragon just perched there. That's why she'd be feargalicious, and I want somebody to make that. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be cool? Oh, God.
Such a niche thing.
I would put that up somewhere in our home.
All I wanted to point out was I realized Violet doesn't think about many people. Like, she does think about people, but not to the degree that Rhiannon is.
I need you to keep talking because my brain just keeps saying feargalicious. God damn.
Chapter 59. Brennan is burning out. They still have Barlowe. He didn't go with the venom. I think they closed the chest and take him away.
Go with the venom.
Barlowe isn't with the venom.
Aren't they kind of all with the venom?
Wait,
the
now
venom are sort of everywhere.
I took notes later in Xaden's chapter, and I thought Barlowe was with them.
His new brother.
His new brother, but there's also another brother reference. We'll get to it. We'll get to it then.
A brother from another mother?
Oh, many brothers. It was like
You're in love with me.
You're in love with me, my brother-in-law. It was a reference about the one who thinks he's my brother comment.
Mm-hmm. One who's called my brother?
Yeah.
My brother, and me? Is this somebody Gilroy? One of the Gilroys?
Shameless plug between chapters.
Want more daggers and shadow daddies? Get a month ahead of where you're at right now. Sign up for 1 month on Patreon and then cancel that shit after you binged it.
That was great.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. I know how their advertisements work, and this is what I wish they did. It was only 5 seconds long.
So they still have Barlowe, and they think he knows stuff, so it's worth keeping him alive. Sloane gives Violet something from Aaric. Sloane is scared, and Dain offers himself. When I re-listened to this, it wasn't nearly as romantic as all of the memes that have come from this scene.
Let's go, you dirty book bitches. Where he's talking her through it. And I'm like, I know exactly where these horny women are going to go with this.
There's no way you don't fall in love with him after this.
Look into my eyes. I've got more power than I can use, baby. He's like, I got 18 inches of power. Like, he gives that energy the whole time, and he's calm and commanding. I can see where women would be very drawn to this version of Dain.
100%. But the irony of Dain, a wing leader, crushing on a first year?
Yeah, we've re-entered the first book again. Oh, and not just a first year that actively hates him and also doesn't listen to leadership in any way. Oh, who's this parallel? I feel like we're watching the second first Star Wars movie or the third first Star Wars movie. Does that make sense?
I saw a thing about the parallels of Onyx Storm to Star Wars.
Oh, you've been calling her Darth Sidious the whole fucking series, so I think you're okay.
I thought that was the only parallel, was Darth Sidious magic.
Oh, and then Yoda.
Who's Yoda?
He's a little goblin fellow in Star Wars.
That's not what I meant. You're such an ass. Who? You know what question I'm trying to ask. Answer
I do. I don't have an answer. I just threw him out there so you would ask who's Yoda. I wanted to set myself up for one.
God damn it. I walked right into that. I have the note, oh my God, he did it. Brennan saved Mira. You obviously weren't surprised. You're like, yeah, he fucking did. That's why he's there. He is starting to walk away, and he mentions that Sloane gave him more power than he needed. I think that's another reason why some people think it could be Brennan, is that I still think it's Sloane who did it, and it was just very overwhelming to him. There's a comment about there's no mark on Brennan's neck like he carries on his palm, or a mark on Dain. And the chapter ends with Bodhi staying with Violet. Now that the Duke of Angst is gone, we have a problem.
I have 3 questions.
Yes.
Where did Dain's mark come from on his neck?
Dain doesn't have a mark on his neck.
Or I'm sorry, Brennan's palm.
I thought it was a rune-shaped thing, and we still never got... We learned nothing about Terran's previous writer. What's his name?
Naolan. We know.
We knew nothing. Oh, there was a...
He's a siphon who turned venom. I'm assuming he turned venom, I guess.
I forgot he was a siphon even.
Mm-hmm.
We learned nothing. Nothing about him.
Nothing new in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's correct. The few times he was kind of brought up, Terran's like, he who shall not be named. He's Voldemort.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, to Terran.
On this topic of people we haven't seen in a while, haven't seen Heaton.
They're not near any large bodies of water, where Heaton patrols the seas.
I was looking forward to Heaton being here in the last battle. I think my assumption is Heaton is still in Besgaiath. Isn't that where they were at last?
It is, but then when they left, Heaton went with them.
Yeah, they would have done that. But I'm going to imagine that they have a second signet that is actually useful.
I think Aquaman stuff is super useful. They can't talk to fish.
No. All they can
just breathe underwater. Man, that's not a good skill. But we don't know how much of this world is covered in water. Is it like Earth? If that were the case, then it would be super helpful. I mean, they could discover new submersible dragons.
Maybe. I'm going to hold out for book number 4 when we learn something about Heaton.
I think they could come into town riding on a seahorse. That would be super rad. Just Little Mermaid style.
Heaton is the only character with a useless signet.
Not the only character.
Who else has a useless signet?
When did Dain's signet come in handy in this book?
What's Dain's signet?
He reads recent memories.
He keeps it private.
What a useful thing for him to do.
What if Sloane touching Brennan allowed Dain to read Brennan's thoughts?
I think that's really cool that you went full Red Rover with this. This is really funny. An indirect touch.
Because she is
it could work, but it's recent memories. What the fuck would he want to know about Brennan's recent memories?
Recent memories could be just the last that we know, because the last that I knew about Imogen's signet was she could only wipe away short-term memory, and she wiped away 12 hours.
It's true. Would you say as his signet becomes more powerful, he would be able to read different kinds of memories?
I think he can just search your memories.
Like, what if it was like really in the center?
What are you setting yourself up for right now?
What do you call the center of the apple?
A core.
Like a core memory. That's what I was saying.
God.
It could be a core memory. I'm just saying, what if they were, just profoundly core memories that he was just rifling through? What do you think you would find there of Violet's? She has it filed very neatly into core memories. She sorts them.
I can't believe I never thought about him being able to read minds the whole time that the whole time that Sloane's holding on to him.
It's memories. He doesn't read minds.
Yeah, same thing.
Is it?
Well, when you ruminate as often as I do, yes.
Dude, to be fair, I think in Intrinsic we get close to you and be like, she's actually too anxious. I can't be around her. She makes me nervous. I'm joking. You would be a wonderful person, and if I could choose to read anybody's mind, it would be yours 42% of the time.
Good. What's the other?
The other, I think I deserve at least 58% of the time for me.
You can't read your own mind right now?
Sometimes I'm a little confused by it, if I'm being honest. You ever just start talking and not realize where it was going?
Yes.
Well, happens a lot over here.
Chapter 60. Garrick is exhausted and can't take Tiny.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to pull you back on this. I had a couple more questions.
Oh, yeah. You had like 3 of them.
Yeah, I did. And one of them turned out not to be a thing. And the second one we went over, we don't know where the gray spot on him came from, right? It's rune-shaped. We assume it had something to do with Naolan, I would assume. And my third question would be, what was my third question? I had a real question about this. Things that happened here.
Bodhi staying with Violet. Now that the Duke of Angst is gone, we have a problem.
Doesn't matter. It's not going to bug me later. And that makes me feel good.
Chapter 60. Garrick is exhausted and he can't take Tiene, or however you pronounce that dragon name. So Taryn takes her.
Is Tiene a her?
Yes.
Oh, that was confirmed in this book, wasn't it?
No, I think that's been since Fourth Wing.
No, Tiene was unisex leading up to this book.
Her scales were used for Violet's armor?
Tiny scales. It's always just used as, the pronoun is literally just tiny.
Oh, well, she, as far as I know.
Tine.
Yeah. If you know Spanish, I think it looks like tiene.
Tenere.
We're just putting R's in there. So Taryn takes her. Theophanie pops up out of nowhere, and Violet notes that Theophanie heard them talking from 20 feet away.
What a skill.
20
whole feet. Wow. Miraculous.
As somebody who has no concept of distance, I thought it was really far and not something you would hear a conversation from.
My love, if you are the entryway to our kitchen table.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I'm going to erase this note before I post it.
I'm just pointing out, this room, this is 12 feet across.
Diagonal?
No, straight across. So if we want to, we can bust out a little Pythagorean theorem here. We have a squared, b squared, so we have 244. And then the root of that be, it's 15 and a half feet.
All right, you've proven your point that Theophanie likely doesn't have the hearing signet.
Well, I'm just pointing out she may, but let's be for real. 20 feet away is not something crazy. Your car is 20 feet long. Bumper to bumper.
You've definitely proven your point. I have no concept of distance. I think Imogen has a moment where she's like, I'm 40 feet, 30 feet away, 20 feet away. And I'm like, that means nothing to me at all. I have zero concept.
You're just like, how many Ryans is that laying down? You should use yourself for these measurements. I was thinking about this. 5 feet increments are a lot easier math.
It's easier to imagine you laying down than it is myself.
But what if I'm erect? As in, I'm standing up.
Uh-huh. Do you think that T was implying that Bodhi likes Violet in this scene?
I don't remember.
There was something about T saying, and yet you are here protecting her.
Oh, Bodhi likes Violet. Yeah, I picked up on that a little bit.
I didn't pick up that he actually did, but that Theophanie implied it?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And that he pines after Violet?
Well, I don't know that he pines after her.
Well, what else would it be?
And pining makes things seem very innocuous. He may just look at her and be like, cousin's got good taste. Smoke show. You never had these moments? Like none of your friends ever dated somebody that you were just like, good job.
No.
Really?
Really.
I assume all of my friends have had that moment with you.
You were so sweet.
I'm not. That's not the compliment you think it is. I have horrible friends. They just have great taste.
T is actually a storm wielder.
She is. And she knew Violet's mom.
She did. She even made a comment about when your mom was your age, she knew that she couldn't defeat me. I don't know. I'm not very good at quoting this book, obviously.
These aren't quotes. She said something to the effect of.
My interpretation.
Yeah, your mom knew she couldn't fuck with me. So she hid behind the wards.
Yes. And it also plays into Mama Soaringale's backstory of why she was very protective of her children not leaving the wards.
And how fucking badass is Theophanie? Because Mama Soaringale was a stone cold badass.
One time we made the comment, I really think it was you, but I'm going to use the word we.
Please. No, I'm sure you did.
About could Lilith Storm get so powerful she essentially has Violet's signet within it? And we can see with Theophanie that yes.
Oh, I don't remember if I made that point or I tried to make the opposite point. I think you attempted to make that point in like the first 15 chapters. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know.
But we see with Theophanie that her storm wielding is so incredible that she can wield lightning.
No, we brought this up because of high and low pressure systems, and that's what causes thunderstorms, the exchange of electrons.
And Theophanie can do it to such a degree that it seems really similar to when Violet was at the stage of lightning wielding, that it was just random.
How lucky is Theophanie that she didn't cook Violet in that like chapter 15 or whatever? Lightning struck very close.
It did.
To she and Violet.
Well, I started thinking about Theophanie not striking herself, but one time Violet did try striking her, and Theophanie is so skilled that she just dodged it using her distance walking. I think Theophanie is collecting signets. I thought she had the hearing signet, so I had a little bit of a
Maybe
list.
she did.
I had a little list going of, I think Theophanie can do all these things. Well, you knocked one out of there.
I'm just pointing out any person that's a little hard of hearing, willing to bust out a hearing aid, can hear you really well at 20 feet.
But she has several of them, right?
I don't know.
Somebody.
I don't mean to not add to this, but I'm genuinely unsure
okay.
at this point.
And I think one of the Venom must have precognition.
Yes.
They always seem to know what to do.
The signets also come in balances.
And we have Aaric now. And I don't think...
confirmed later to be a precog.
Yes.
I like that they've come up with precognition.
Barlowe was the one that made the comment, I think, in Fourth Wing about, at least I'm not the one who thinks precognition is a thing. Was Barlowe already a Venom then and knew that the Venom had a precog dude on their side? Or woman, I shouldn't.
The Venom had a very effective precognitive individual in their ranks. I don't think they would be getting their asses kicked the way they are. Because when they lose Wyvern, it's a big deal. It takes them a long time to make Wyvern. And they threw away hundreds of those. Theophanie brings it up when they're tearing them apart. Theophanie's like, God damn it, do you know how long it takes me to make those things?
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
How long do you think she spent on hers? Because he's bigger than Coda.
There's 3 of them that are bigger than Coda, I believe.
What? I thought it was just one.
Maybe it was 1 larger than Coda and 3 of them were enormous. Because I think she says there are 3 enormous Wyvern. And one of them, you're right, I think it was one of them looks bigger than Coda. And Terran is just awesome in that.
And Terran not getting the kill on that, frustrating. I forgot that I felt this way at the end of the book. I'm just sitting at work, trying to work, thinking about this book. And I'm like, wait a minute, Terran didn't get that kill. He was looking forward to it. He never got him.
Well, to be fair, he had other shit going on.
I think that we should have ended the book with Terran getting that guy.
Everything else is over. Violet's there talking to Brennan, and they're going on about the ring, and Terran looks over and he's like, 1 second, I'll be back.
Wait, we need to get back onto this. Chapter 60, she's a storm wielder. Oh, T says there is only one exception to the rule, and she's shocked that it's Violet and not Mira if it was going to be one of the daughters. I thought that the exception to the rule was in reference to magic finding balance, that there is one exception to magic finding balance, and that is Violet. But I could be obviously completely wrong, and I don't know what to think of this.
I took it as she was partially dedicated. So Dune and these other gods also seek Violet's favor, right? They seem to. And she gets 2 dragons. It seems a little unbalanced to me.
It is.
And
yeah,
the
I don't.
armor is heavy with this one.
Yeah, I just didn't know what T meant. There's only one exception to the rule. What rule? I think it was the rule of magic is always in balance. I don't know. Bodhi is taken from his dragon. Wait, that's a terrible note. His dragon takes Bodhi. That's also dumb.
Bodhi's dragon picks him up.
Yep, and takes him away and leaves Violet there with T all alone.
Yeah.
And T is trying to make Violet turn to becoming a Venom, and her tactics, I think, are weak. She's not really getting to Violet. I don't know if it's this scene or some other one, but she points out that we don't love like you do anymore, and you're going to lose that type of thing, which I don't feel like that would make Violet want to turn.
Here's the thing. She tries selling both sides of the argument, and that's what made it not compelling. She's like, don't you want to have forever with your love? And she's like, we already have forever. And he's like, no, we don't experience that the same way you do. And then it's like, well, now you just said that neither of you are going to feel that anymore.
Yeah.
You defeated the argument you made initially.
And then I think she tries using her weakness against her. Violet's not motivated by this for more power. I think she started using knowledge. Wait, becoming venom doesn't offer you knowledge.
I mean, it would offer you knowledge as to the venom, I guess.
What would be Violet's motive?
I don't think there is a motivator for Violet to turn venom. I think you'd have to kill Dain. And maybe Indarna, if she was threatening Indarna's life the same way that Brian, what was that guy's name?
Berwin.
There we go. Brian. I don't know, man. The way that he was threatening Sigale. If she was threatening Indarna or Taryn the same way, I think Violet may have turned. But she didn't get that far.
It didn't even seem like she got that close to turning like she did in Iron Flame. It seemed like she was closer in Iron Flame than she was now.
Which makes some sense. She spent the entire book seeing what it did to Xaden. It would be like hanging out with a meth head and then 8 months later, we're like, you want to try some meth? You're like, actually, I don't think so. Kind of like to keep my teeth. I think we're okay.
But she was getting near burnout. But we're not at that. We are just at Bodhi's taken away. Violet and T are fighting. T is trying to convince her to turn and pretty much is saying it's going to happen. Chapter 61. This is Rihanna's chapter. I don't have many notes on this. I think I was just enjoying the chapter. She has so many names, mentions so many names.
She knows everybody.
I think that's just a sign of her being a good leader. She's worried about Violet, and she thought that Riddick might not follow orders.
Yeah, because Riddick's not known for following orders, and she sees Riddick do the coolest thing ever.
Which is?
I don't understand the mechanics of this. There's a wyvern, right? It's flying. Riddick's dragon pivots so that Riddick can touch the wyvern, basically. He freezes the wyvern.
Oh, yeah.
And then the wyvern hits a cliff and splits in half.
How could I not write that down?
Just shatters.
It was so impressive.
It's so cool. I don't understand the mechanics of it, but I think it is so rad.
And I think Rihanna was just in shock over this.
Yeah. Which I think I would be too. If I looked over and I saw this wyvern, I'm like, motherfucker. And then like, no, okay, Riddick's dragon sacrificing him. That's a little cold. And then that motherfucker turns into a wyvern sickle. That's pretty rad.
Did anything else happen in this chapter, or did it kind of end on that?
She reviewed a lot of things going on. She's like, what the fuck am I going to do with Sloane? She also doesn't listen.
Oh, yeah, because I think at that point, Sloane and Dain were coming back. Aaric's gone. Yeah, everybody's gone.
She's just like, I love these people, but these are a fistful of morons. What do I do with these people?
Oh, and I think there was comments about Kat and Marin, and Kat just disagreeing with orders and whatnot.
Here's my question. Where do you think Aaric is?
I don't know where Aaric went.
So they told us where he went.
He ran away, but he didn't actually run away. He was leaving to go do something.
Yeah. But what do you think his mission is?
I don't know what his mission is. He got the thing to Sloane. So is he in the city where Sloane and Dain were?
No. Sloane and Dain were in the city with the battle going on. That's why they weren't where they were supposed to be. Sloane should have been back in...
Draithus.
No.
That's where the whole fight's happening.
Yep. Sloane should have been in the other one. First years weren't allowed to be in Draithus. She should have been in, what's their capital city?
Aracia.
Yeah. That's where Sloane belonged.
So you think Aaric was there? Yeah, what's Aaric doing?
No, I think Aaric...
Was he waiting at the temple because he knew they were going to get married? He's like, oh, someone's got to be here to witness it. Might as well be me because I've already witnessed it in the future.
Maybe, or I wonder if he wasn't going to prevent some other major issue. Or maybe he's the one that went and got Indarna. Maybe he saw where they were. And he was like, I'm going to go get them real quick because Indarna shows up. Right? Which we're going to cover.
How does precognition work? Can you change the future? Or do you just see it and you just work with it?
Well, The idea of how precognition would be effective really depends on the model as to, do you believe that free will exists, or do you believe that there's a a threat of fate that is a driving force?
I like to picture it like Doctor Strange. There's multiple different paths.
So you believe in free will?
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, you would be able to change the outcome of things if that's what you're going to subscribe to.
Do you think that this magic system is playing into that?
I think the way this book is written, it wouldn't make a good fantasy book if it didn't believe in free will.
I think it must, because what we see with Melgren is he would see outcomes and would even start making plans to the wrong outcomes because he must see multiple options and he couldn't see any of the options that included marked ones.
Yeah, I think this book definitely believes in free will. So I would guess that Aaric could see what was going to happen, what could prevent these things, hence why Violet got the little note.
Okay, I like that. That he saw all the outcomes or many outcomes, and in order to prevent this from happening. But yeah, that would explain the paths. There's constant comments about paths.
And then you run to the paradoxes, right? You solve one problem. Cool beans. But you've just created a whole new timeline in which you actually have no fucking idea what's going on.
Do you think Violet's path is based off of her decision or Xaden's decision? Because it sounded like it was Xaden's decision when Mira was talking about what that old lady's mentioned. I can't remember what it was. That Violet's path isn't set yet.
Yeah.
And Xaden's like, it has to do with me.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It gets real weird.
That's all that I had for chapter 61. Then going into chapter 62, it is back to Violet, and T has her pinned.
Dun dun.
When we were listening to this scene, what I got from this, Violet is pinned down with T on top of her. Violet is very flexible.
Tell me more.
Violet gets a moment where she can lift up a leg and kick Theophanie in the face, the armpit. The nose.
The pit of the arm.
The pit of the arm.
What was said, which I'm like, why are we complicating this? Let's not reinvent the wheel. It's the armpit. If I were to say, oh my God, I got pinched in the pit of my arm, where would you guess that is?
In the pit of your arm.
Oh, okay.
Nothing more from that.
Nothing weird about it.
Violet kicks T in the face. T says that Brennan don't feel love. Oh, this is when T actually starts to get a little groundwork with Violet in upsetting her, not in convincing her to turn. T is starting to get frustrated that Violet isn't doing as she wants, and she starts drawing from the ground very slowly, and Violet notes, like, oh, she could do this much faster if she wanted to, so she's just playing with me. And T says that occupying land that is already had magic repurposed will shield her. Violet gets the bright idea to run towards a dead wyvern.
Almost as if T wanted her to come up with this solution.
I thought that, but then T is just like, oh.
I didn't consider that.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, that means she doesn't have precognition. She would have known that was
Oh, yeah,
happen.
I don't think T had precognition at all.
Do you think Berwyn does?
No.
All right.
Berwyn's a sage, not a maven.
T is a maven. That was
Correct.
noted.
Yeah, and there's somebody above her who she's trying to impress.
Within Darna, more so than Violet, because
She
Violet...
keeps saying him also.
Yeah. Violet runs to the wyvern. Oh, then it goes into Sigale grabbing Violet. What did I think in this moment? In this moment, I thought Sigale was...
Gonna murder Violet.
Gonna murder Violet. I don't know why. I was just like, what the hell, Sigale? Just throwing her? And she's like, she's all yours. I'm like, who'd you give her to? Like, who is this? What does Xaden do? Like, what's going on? It wasn't that bright of a thought process.
Your propensity to believe that people are up to no good is amazing to me.
Turns out Taryn was nearby. Sigale was helping him out.
Yeah.
And Sigale begrudgingly picked her up and just like tossed her. Like, get out of here.
Go on now, scram.
Scram. We learned that Theophanie's wyvern is bigger than Coda, and there are hundreds of wyvern between them and T. So they're like, I guess we're going to go through all of them.
Look at how many of them. Violet's killing 8, sometimes 9 at a time.
Wild. That's even what I have. She has multiple lightning strikes and multiple successful hits at a time. And it doesn't seem like it takes that much from her to go with it. Like, she's playing it off like it's what she used to do in the past of, I think, just more the merrier. But it's just, wait a minute, you're actually hitting them with multiples, more than 50%.
Yeah, she's cooking a pile of Wyvern.
As in the past, it took so much time and energy for her to get one strike to hit one Wyvern intentionally.
You know, the growth is unbelievable.
Wild.
Fitzy has been doing his business of training her.
Fitzgerald?
Fitzgibbons.
Fitzgibbons.
That's the guy who trains her.
Oh.
I think.
I already forgot his name. He's out of here now.
Garfield.
We haven't heard about him in a while, so he's left my mind. I never learned any of the dragon names, so lots of names are being shared in this scene. I think one little thing I got from this is Bodhi is fighting there when he shouldn't be. She was worried about the next heir to Aurasia is in an area that is going to get him killed.
Yeah.
Sigil.
Or get him turned into venom, just saying.
Maybe. Taryn is trying to reach Sigil. She has him blocked. And Violet tries reassuring him, oh, it's probably so you're not worried about her. He's like, well, that makes it worse.
Yeah, and then Violet's like, don't worry, I'll call Xaden. And it's an icy retort.
Why do you think the word ice is used so often?
I don't know. I took it as cold, like something is dead.
Has it always been described this way?
Yes.
Since Fourth Wing?
Well, since he turned. But I don't think it's a third signet.
Not that I think it's a third signet. I just didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be cold and dark. It's not warm and homey.
Oh, no. And chapter 62 ends with they're on a mission to fly directly to Theophanie. And her wyvern is huge, and Taryn wants that to be his kill, which he didn't get, but I've already complained about that. Chapter 63, this is Imogen's. I have many notes on her chapter.
It was a great chapter.
I want to first say, I thought that Imogen and Quinn were dating in Iron Flame. They are not. They're actually roommates, and I corrected myself on that one. Still wasn't very convinced, but whatever. I did a poll in our book club, and I'm the only one who thought that Imogen had romantic feelings for Quinn. So I will admit that I am very wrong, but I'm getting mixed signals, and I feel confused.
Yeah, I don't have a way to encourage you on this one. Because I remember you were like, see, they were like an item. And I'm like, that's not what I got from this at all. And then you're like, no, but she loved her. And I'm like, yeah, like platonically, like she loved her.
She mentioned Quinn's hair falling on the back of like...
She would drape her hair off the side of the bed.
Yeah. No, I know I'm wrong. I've been told that I'm wrong.
I'm not saying we don't know anything for sure. I'm just pointing out that, yeah, I think you're profiling her because she seems like a lesbian. Is it the hair?
Quinn is not straight. Quinn has a girlfriend.
She goes through all the history and stuff they have. It's like a sisterly love.
Okay. I
know.
am rewriting Imogen's story in my mind.
And all it took was 50 people on Fable to convince you otherwise.
Yes, it did. For me to be like, oh, I'm the only one who thought this. I definitely was not reading this book correctly.
My favorite part is when she's like, the one person I love, you looked at me like, I got you, you son of a bitch.
It's like, I told you she didn't like Garrick.
Meanwhile, just moments earlier, her own dragon is like, maybe you should go talk to that guy. And
on Quinn's deathbed, she says you should tell him.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm saying is it's brought up quite a lot.
You know what I start thinking about? Imogen has never said or done anything outright that shows that she likes Garrick. There is some flirtatiousness. I will say that. There has been some flirty banter a little bit. But who's going around and telling everybody this? Or is Imogen always staring at him?
Oh, I think this is probably a behavior thing if everybody else around knows.
Like everybody knows.
Everybody's aware. It was me with you. Everybody fucking knew, and yet you were somehow blindsided.
That's a really great point.
Mm-hmm.
everybody at school knew that you liked me.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was brought up to me, I was...
I literally told everybody, including you, and you were the only one who refused to believe me.
That's no longer helping because Imogen's not telling anybody. Everyone just knew.
Well, I don't think I needed to tell them. I think it was just, they were like, oh, yeah, you think Adri's a smoke show, huh? I'm like, oh, yeah. Yep, definitely do. And I told you, and you were like, nah, you don't. I'm like, oh, you can ask anybody. I'll tell you.
I like that. I like that a lot better because Imogen's so quiet about it. Okay. I'm working through it. I'm going to reread Onyx Storm with a new mindset looking at Imogen.
I want to go through Onyx Storm in just one run through.
Completely agree. So in this chapter, she wants to protect Bodhi to protect the throne. They're running out of weapons, and that's where Garrick gets involved, or the talking about Garrick, because he is taking all the weapons and he's moving them to this one location so they can build wards or something like that. Garrick is near burnout. Ghislaine, her dragon, says she has 17 kills, but Imogen says 16. I have been looking forward to ask you, what did you think of all of that, and what Ghislaine thinks is considered a kill or not?
I'm going to side with Ghislaine on everything, because Ghislaine's a dragon, and I really got to the point I like Ghislaine's personality so much in this too. I like that Imogen's like, hey, I tell you what, we'll go ahead and count yours if you agree to shut the fuck up about this. I think I like seeing the relationships these other riders have with their dragons.
And it seemed like Ghislaine was more of I didn't bond a quitter. Oh, she even says, I didn't bond a whiner.
Yeah, it shows that it's not just Terran that's kind of impetuous and in your face. It's all of Dragonkind. They are an arrogant group, but they're riders, and them are partners.
I think it also showed how sweet Indarna is. And I think Indarna's love is deeper than all the other. I don't know how to describe it. The relationship between Violet and Indarna, now that we've seen multiple more relationships, it's
more maternal, though.
Yeah.
Violet's relationship with Indarna is far more maternal than her relationship is with anybody else. And nobody else bonded a Feathertail. I think there's something to be said for that, too.
Yeah. What else did you think about Ghislaine and Imogen's relationship?
I didn't have a whole lot of specifics. It was kind of more, it showed just dragons in general and how they are, and I liked it. And I liked that it was humanizing, but it made me think back to Bade. What sort of fucked up betrayal that would have been.
Oh, what Barlowe did to Bade?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I think there was even an excerpt in one of these about one of the problems with dragons finding humans is their attachment to their humans.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just real butthurt about it. And it makes me wonder why we don't hear anything more about, I can't remember Brennan's dragon's name now. Why the fuck can't I remember that dragon's name?
No clue.
I should remember it, but you don't hear anything about their relationship, really. And I find that odd. If the person who you loved died, wouldn't you get really, really close to the thing that's remaining?
Wait, what are you saying? Brennan
and his relationship with his dragon, you would think would be very intimate, always together type of thing.
It's not?
But we don't hear about him interacting much with his own dragon.
True. I thought that was just because we don't
get a lot of Brennan point of view.
Yeah.
But I'm just suggesting that it's not like, oh, where's Brennan? He's probably off with his dragon fucking around. Never happens. He's running low on power. He's not talking to his dragon. You know what I'm saying?
Well, when he was in that moment, his dragon told Terran that he's burning out.
Yeah. But I'm saying he doesn't seem to have the same regard for his dragon. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just didn't think that we knew hardly anything about Brennan and his dragon.
That's kind of what I'm pointing out.
Or Dain and his.
We don't hear a lot about Dain and his dragon either, but we got to see Riddick interacting with his dragon. We really get the point of view from Imogen and from, who's got Fiergalicious?
Rhiannon.
Rhiannon. There we go.
So now you are more familiar with Fiergalicious than you are Rhiannon?
Dude, I will never forget Fiergalicious. I will not remember Rhiannon's name ever. I will always remember Fiergi. It will not leave my mind. And it's just going to be a dragon wearing frilly underwear and lingerie.
No.
Yep.
No.
Oh, stupid sexy dragons. Which dragon's yours? The sexy one? And it's just squatty bows.
I realize that is not actually a common meme that we keep referencing at all.
No.
No, I tried finding it to show your sister. Which one's the girl cat? The sexy one? I can't find it on the internet.
I'm afraid of where you might find it if you do.
It was just some random thing that we were cracking up of. We have made this joke multiple times, and I'm really embarrassed if people just think we're fucking weird.
It might still be true.
It's still true, but
Yeah.
there's a Facebook post of a couple cats, and they're talking about their girl cat or whatever. And then there's a comment below, which one's the girl cat? The sexy one? And I was like, what the fuck? That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. Because there's one cat in a bow and one that's not, or something like that.
I think there were several cats.
Something that would make it kind of
Sexy?
girly. And we constantly make this joke of which one's the sexy dragon.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not tired of it yet. It's a good bit.
It makes us look like creeps.
Bye, all you cool cats and kittens. Like your mama's cheeks, we gotta split this one.
We got a little long-winded there. So we're gonna make a part 2.
I'll see you in part 2, motherfuckers. It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here, TikTok or Instagram at Yarros.Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.